Good evening. It is Thursday, February 27th, 2025, and I am calling our school board meeting for our special school board meeting to order. If we can start with a moment of silence. Thank you. Please stand and join us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Ms. Thacker, if you can call the roll.
Yes, Madam Chair. Ms. Burns?
Here.
Ms. Cooper?
Here.
Ms. Dooley?
Here.
Mr. Morse? Mr. Meyer?
Here.
Ms. Richardson?
Here.
And Ms. Torres?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve our proposed agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we've got a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Wonderful. We have a proposed agenda. Now we'll open for comments from members of the community, starting with any students. Mr. Cuomo, anybody joining us by Zoom? All right. Any members of the community? Okay, moving on to public comment on our proposed 25-26 budget. Okay, Dr. Gurley, I will hand it over to you for number 7.
All right, good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, and those assembled. This evening, I come asking that you propose the budget as presented during our last session. There have been no changes since that time.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the 25-26 operating budget as presented?
So moved.
We have a first. Is there a second?
Second.
A second from Ms. Richardson. And now I'd like to ask if there's any discussion from the board. Mr. Meyer, we can start down with you.
Yes, thank you. I'm excited about this budget. I think it, again, continues to put our division on the pathway to get good educational results. It does not have specific things, though, that we discussed with the city council in it because it's a budget and not necessarily agreements. But, we had discussed with the city council and I guess Mr. Sanders specific around new formulations in the coming years or again, also a construction plan or a remodeling long-term infrastructure plan. Is there going to be a way to, I guess, legislate that, or how do we formalize that and ensure that we actually get to execute on those 2 items?
And I think I'm trying to remember my calendar. We have a meeting coming up. We have a standing meeting. So that is on my list of how do we codify what happens next in terms of what happens with the CIP so that it's always in front of us. We know how we're directing funds to the CIP. We're keeping track of what projects we're prioritizing, those things that move up, down. So I don't know if that necessarily answers your question, but that's on my list of next steps. I mean, we've talked about it, and again, I don't think that he wants it to be something that's just talked about. I think he does want to see action as well.
Thank you.
Thank you for that question.
Ms. Burns?
Nothing.
Ms. Cooper? Have nothing. Ms. Richardson?
I just wanted to say I really appreciated collaborating with City Council and discussing the budget. I was interested in hearing about the extra money that they was able to find and moving forward and figuring out how to move forward with the money and putting it towards the things we need for our students in-house. Thank you.
Yes, and just to dovetail on that, we are again making sure that we call out specifically, these are some things from the safety audit that we would like to see if they could put some funds. So then that would help us out in prioritizing the projects moving forward, just taking some things off the list now.
Thank you. Ms. Torres?
So for a follow-up to that comment and question, so, and help me out, everybody, was there a sense that they felt like they could tackle some of those items with their surplus, or were they still trying to just make sure that they could meet our budget ask?
I got the sense of, and Sam will tell me differently when we meet, but I got the sense that we could at least address some things off of there. I think the manner in which I presented it to them probably was a little too lofty. And so I'm going to narrow it down to specifically, if you can address these 3 things, these 5 things off of the list. I think we pulled out components of the audit that we felt it fell within their portfolio of things that they should take care of. But I want to make sure that we are specifically outlining, like, these are some things, low hanging fruit that you can take off your list, things that you probably should have been addressing all along anyway.
So, and I was very appreciative of their response and them being, and I felt like they were receptive and wanting to move on that a little bit with us. I'm just letting you look at what you need to
I'm
look
sorry.
at. That's
I'm
okay. No,
sorry.
no,
There's
no. I know we have stuff
Beth
going on.
Chuck is texting me. We have an active situation going
Yes,
on.
sir.
Do we need to break or you?
No, I'm good. I'm good. I think Kim's copied on it.
Okay. I was curious, and again, don't know what your plans are. I know that we have the wonderful opportunity to come before council, I believe on the 4th. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. Next.
So
Tuesday.
looking forward to supporting our chair and everybody in that endeavor. But I didn't know if any of those items were going to fall within that presentation, just so that we can get some help from community as far as.
We don't have, I looked at the presentation.
And I don't know if it's appropriate or not, but.
Yes, the capital projects are the last 2, those last 2 slides are still on there. Yes.
Okay.
So we'll get to reiterate the capital projects again.
Okay. And as always, I mean, we've got typically a pretty good turnout of people, of community members who come to help advocate for things for the schools. So if that happens to fall within, as they're working through their budget and looking at their surpluses, so maybe there's some things that the schools could benefit from. Anyway, and then the only other comment that I was hoping to make, and again, this is our first go at collective bargaining in our first contract, and realizing that this was a first time for both sides as you all worked through that contract. But I personally would love the next time a contract is up or being worked through, that the timing of that be done before you start your budget work with us, so that, and I appreciate the fact that you all have looked at it and feel comfortable with wherever it's at. But I would feel better if it was kind of like, this is it, because I know we're still working out a few kinks.
Absolutely. I
So-
think we've learned a lot. And so as the next group that we will do the bargaining with are the support staff. And so I think we've learned a lot. I think we can definitely address that in the next go around.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
To piggyback on Ms. Torres's comments, I like the idea of, they've asked for us to prioritize from the safety audit what we need. I'd read somewhere that the city manager was wanting to withhold or hold back the surplus for fear of federal money being cut in our current environment. And so I
Yes.
think to the extent that we can pull out the items that are kind of non-negotiables on our end of, like, these have to be remedied.
Mhm.
I would like to see that as we move forward, just so that we can't be kind of pushed aside with, well, we're uncertain, we need to, hold on to money.
Yes.
Ms. Burns, did you have something you wanted to chime back in? Okay. Any other comments? All right, well, we have a motion and a second to approve the 25-26 operating budget. Ms. Thacker, would you do this as a roll call, please?
Yes, Madam Chair. Ms. Burns,
Yes.
Ms. Cooper,
Yes.
Ms. Dooley,
Yes.
Mr. Meyer,
Yes.
Ms. Richardson,
Yes.
and Ms. Torres.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Dr.
you. We
Gurley and your
appreciate you.
team for your work on this. Moving on, we have another opportunity for comments from members of the community. Still a quiet crowd tonight. Okay, moving on, 9.0 board member comments. Start again with you, Mr. Meyer. Any comments?
Yeah, I'd just like to note, I think those who have followed this process over the last months, and there will still be a couple, maybe another month, maybe as we get more numbers back from the state, but that they recognize, I think, some of the concerns that were addressed or given to us the last meeting about the rezoning around resource allocations to certain schools to address educational gaps, achievements, that we're making a budget that reflects those and it tries to address those. So I guess to a certain extent, I'm a little disappointed that the same people that were worried about that at the last meeting aren't here speaking on that right now, but I do hope that they understand and know that we are concerned about those things and addressing them also. It is, I think, a package, not just one thing that's going to, again, help address all the educational challenges our students face. Thank you very much.
Ms. Burns? Ms. Cooper? Okay, Dr. Gurley, any comments from you? No. Okay. Okay, our upcoming meeting, we are meeting again Thursday, a week from today, back here at 5 p.m. For our normally scheduled board meeting. With that, we are adjourned.